We are back with the final game of our NFL Wildcard preview series. We've got the 10-7 Rams hosting the 14-3 Vikings because that's how the NFL works. So shout out to that. But we got a little bit of a rematch of a Week 8 battle where the Rams actually came out on top, 30-20. I'm joined by Preston once again, and of course Calvin, who still does not have his face cam.
Shout out.
Terrible work.
We got an interesting matchup because to me, this matchup, as you can see, the stats are all pulled up. If you look at just the stats, this is an easy win for the Vikings. I mean, they are better in pretty much every statistic. Some of them, they're kind of decidedly better. Some of them are close. But if you look at the eye test, I feel like the eye test makes you maybe say, hey, this might be a Rams game because they already beat them. Rams have gotten healthy coming off of injuries, and the Vikings had that terrible loss in their last game. So this is a pretty interesting matchup to look at. Calvin, what do you got?
Well, for those who have watched this podcast for a while, y'all will know that the consistent thing about me, I say consistent, but I did admit I was wrong. But I've always said that, you know what, I don't really believe in the Vikings. I think they're a little bit of a fraud. 14-3, you would look at me and say, you know what, man, shut up. You're stupid. That may be true. But I noticed a couple things, right? I noticed offensive points per game and defensive points per game have gotten better over the last 8 games for the Rams. And if you look into that, they had a lot of injuries early on, started out 1-4. But you know what? They stayed true. They rode the course, stayed patient, trusted each other, they trusted their coach, and they went on a very nice win streak. And we're going to talk about the eye test. The Rams, their offense, let's be honest, they're a pretty scary offense. Sean McVay has them firing on all cylinders. Once again, Stafford's looked pretty decent. You got Kyron Williams, who's stepped it up this season. I mean, everybody was wondering how he would do with his increased role. Say, hey, is he going to be healthy enough? He's been healthy for majority of the season. Puka and Cooper Kupp have not. But when they have been healthy, this team has been quite successful. And Tyler Higbee, he has returned, I believe, a couple weeks ago, something like that. So they're starting tight end is back. They're getting more people back. I mean, the NFL is a war of attrition. The healthiest team wins. Minnesota, I'm pretty sure they're relatively healthy, but something I noticed with the Vikings against the Lions, this is a copycat league, right? So you bet that the Rams are going to be looking at what Amik Robertson did against Justin Jefferson and looking at how the back end of the Lions defense handled the amazing passing attack of the Vikings. And they're going to utilize that into their game plan against the Vikings. Now, if you look at that game even closer, you would notice that Sam Darnold missed a lot of easy reads. So is this when the Sam Darnold just true colors show late in the season? I've been predicting that it happens. And I feel like this is where it might show up. You got Matt Stafford, a Super Bowl winning quarterback, a vet in the game, probably a Hall of Famer. Sam Darnold has a lot of doubt. Everybody's looking at him like, hey, we're going to write him off. Can he write back? I think that's what you have to look at. I don't think he writes back. I think he closes the paper and burns it. I think he just starts to fall off here. He fell off a little bit versus the Lions. So considering that the Rams are improving, they're getting healthier, and Sam Darnold struggled a little bit, I think you have to go against the statistics here and really start to ask yourself, is the eye test something that you have to look at more? And is it going to be more true in this type of game?
I think the biggest thing for me is, can the Rams get pressure on Sam Darnold? Because when you get pressure on Darnold, he looks flustered. And at the same time, who do they have to cover Justin Jefferson? I know that they beat the Vikings earlier this year, but they don't have a great cornerback room. They don't have Ramsey anymore. I don't see unless you double them. I mean, they're going to double them. That's what you have to do against someone like Justin Jefferson. But they don't have that it factor to stop them. And I think that's where the game comes down to. It's not about offense in this game. I think both offenses can carry their own. But I think it comes down to, can you lock Justin Jefferson up and can you get pressure on Sam Darnold?
Well, with
You
the
can
way
get away with not.
Jerry Verse and
Versus
Braden Fish,
has been
the way
playing
they've been
good.
playing, I believe in them.
He had a sack and a half against the Vikings when they played the first game. I mean, and that was kind of his breakaway game. This game for the Rams was the breakaway game for them. When they beat the Vikings earlier this year, that's when the Rams started showing up and playing to the level that they should have been all season. Granted, they had injuries. They were out without Puka and Cup for a long time to start. But those are my two takeaways. Can you shut down Justin Jefferson, and can you get pressure on Sam Darnold? Those are the keys for the Rams. For Minnesota, you got the talent. You have the talent to go out there and beat them. Can you do it? They haven't beat anybody good. You know what I'm saying? You look at Minnesota, they got a good record, but they've only had 3 wins against teams over 500. You know, like, are they a good team? I know Calvin says that they're frauds. Strength of schedule wise, you look at the Rams and they just look better. This is a toss up, you know, and I think it goes back to what Dave said. You know, eye test, Rams, stat wise, Vikings.
Well, I think this is also just a tough matchup for the Vikings because, I mean, on paper, you'd say, all right, well, I mean, the Rams, like, there's worse teams we could play, but when you look at that game that they actually played against each other earlier in the season, so the Vikings defense, you know what you're getting with them. You know that Buffalo has probably the most aggressive defense in the league. He loves bringing different pressures. He loves blitzing. He loves simulating pressures, and he loves just always having the threat. Because he blitzes so much, you don't know, is this guy going to be a rusher? Is he going to drop off into coverage? He just wants to create confusion for the offense. When the Rams played against them, they were probably one of the best teams that I've seen this season in handling that. Like, they looked completely unfazed against that defense. They were not letting the pressure get to them. Stafford was able to get the ball out quick, and they just looked like they had a really good game plan for how to go up against it. Having had that matchup now, how are these teams going to adjust? That'll be interesting, but I think this Stafford-McVay offense, like, that is probably one of the duos that you would trust the most to deal with a team that's going to blitz like this, that's going to bring all these looks and try and confuse you, because they're not going to get confused easily. They're going to know what they're doing. They're going to be prepared for it, and we saw that in Week 8, and I think that that's going to be one of the big keys. Like, how is the Vikings defense going to adjust so they don't just get beaten like that and they don't have their strengths get taken away from them?
And I will say this, the game that they played earlier this year, that was the game that both Cup and Puka both came back. That was the game that both came back, and, like, the Rams have not been an elite team this year, but since they got all their star players back, they have been winning ball games. They've shown that they can do it. And the Vikings, I mean, when they play good teams, they don't show up. So
I do, and I mean, their offense for the Rams, they do need to show a little bit of consistency at times because they put up 44 against the Bills, and then the next 3 weeks they put up 12 against the 49ers, 19 against the Jets, 13 against the Cardinals. So they just need to go if they can put a full game together where their defense and their offense show up and they're able to lock in, they're a great team, and they're a team that preseason a lot of people were high on. And we saw it Week 8, I think, was maybe their best example this whole season, where they played a complete game, they had a good game plan, they came in, it was against the same opponent. So if they can do that now, that's how they can do it. I think that this is going to be interesting because this is one of the only matchups that we have where there's a head-to-head that's actually recent, because we have the Bucs and Commanders played each other Week 1. We had the Eagles and Packers play each other Week 1. Obviously, we have division rivals Steelers and Ravens. That's going to be a matchup where they really know each other well. But this is another one where it was about mid-season they played. We'll see how the teams were able to adjust and adapt since that matchup, and that's going to be a very interesting point to watch. But do y'all have any other points y'all want to get into? Or are you ready for predictions?
I'm ready for predictions, man.
Yeah, I got predictions.
Preston, Who you got in this game?
I think the Rams are they got better coaching. They know how to win in the playoffs. But give me the Vikings. I'm going with Vikings.
I pulled a little me Corso with that prediction.
Yeah. Hey, I like it. I like it. I'm gonna
Something like that.
begrudgingly go with the Rams. With B-Flow being a heavy blitzer, um, Matt Stafford deals with pressure really well. I don't know the actual statistics, but just from watching him, seems like he handles blitzes a lot better than a lot of QBs in the league, probably just because of experience. And he was behind a terrible offensive line in Detroit for a long time. Um, and of course, you have one of the best slot receivers in Cooper Kupp, who can also play slot. Quick reads and hot reads going to be there. And so I think you have that going for him. And just considering that they did win a Super Bowl, they got the experience. Championship DNA matters in the playoffs, so you can go with Rams.
Well, we got all these beautiful stats pulled up for y'all to show you why the Vikings are going to win this game because they're the better team. And I'm going to throw all this out the window, and I'm going with the Rams because I think that the biggest stat is that Week 8 matchup. And I know it's a long time ago, but I really liked what the Rams were able to show against the Vikings. And I think that the pressure's all on the Vikings this game. They're coming off of a terrible loss against the Lions that lost them the 1 seed and stuck them in the wild card round. They've got all these, like Sam Darnold, he's got the pressure on him to perform because he's about to get replaced by J.J. McCarthy potentially. You've got a team that they're going to be a good team in the future, but they're ahead of schedule this year because they were not supposed to be this good. And I think that this is where it kind of gets exposed a little bit. I think they are a good team, but this is a bad matchup for them. They're going against someone who knows how to break down their defense, and unless their defense can really step up and go and find some ways to just get that Rams offense off their game, I think that it's going to be similar to Week 8, and they're going to put up a fight, but I got the Rams.